Thanks for joining me. Good to see you. I'm Jarrell. I make games for a living. Today I want to take a look at Switch 2, specifically the Batman Arkham Knight game. This is a game that really struggled on the Switch, the original hardware. There are many aspects of the games that contributed to poor frame rates. That means that the game did not run very smoothly, especially when driving around in the Batmobile. I'll put some video on screen here that I had recorded previously on the original Switch. With Batman Arkham Knight, you can see that the game does not run very well. I'll put a link in the description so you can watch this video where I explain in detail. But basically, in conjunction with many other things, the game is trying to load in high-quality versions of buildings, characters, vehicles, other graphics. It's trying to load those in during gameplay, and as the player explores the city and gets closer to certain game objects, the game is trying to load in higher quality versions of the graphical assets, but that has a performance cost. It causes the game to stutter, and it makes the game very unpleasant to play. It's quite difficult. So this is the Switch 2 here. I'm going to boot up the Batman Arkham Knight game, and the other ones ran decently well on original Switch, but let's see how Batman Arkham Knight runs on Switch 2. Now with Batman Arkham Knight, let's just see how fast the game can load. I did not progress through this game as I could not get through the driving section. It was quite uncomfortable to play, so let's see how fast the game will load in real time on Switch 2. That was shocking. That was shocking how fast that was. Now we saw, just then, we saw the lower quality versions of those visuals appeared first, and then we see the higher quality visual assets pop in. And already I can see a significant difference. This is much smoother. I'm trying to drive a bit slowly just so we can see the details of the game here. We can see that the game is not running at a high resolution. The game is designed to render internally at a lower resolution, which allows the game to run at a higher frame rate. The higher resolution that the game has to render, the worse the performance will be. But the Switch 2 is quite strong in terms of that regard. We'll speed up and drive faster, and you might be able to see there's still a little bit of hiccuping in terms of the visuals. There's minor hiccuping as the game is still loading in resources in real time. Got some slow-mo there. Some would refer to this as poor frame pacing. But you can see the game runs very well on Switch 2. This is playable. This is absolutely playable. One could enjoy a reasonable experience with Batman Arkham Knight on Switch 2. You can see on the original Switch, we will go ahead and put, again, a comparison on screen so you can see what the game was like playing on original Switch. Now, in terms of visuals, this game would look basically consistent across the Switch and Switch 2. It is really the performance that we see a major difference. So you won't see an increased resolution. You won't see better quality textures or higher polycount models. What we see is significantly faster loading times, much smoother frame rates, and a consistent frame pacing. I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at this comparison. I will be increasing my video output for the time being, so I can cover more topics related to the Switch 2. I can show comparison and analysis videos, but also I want to keep up my regular videos that are focused on either just humor or game development. This channel is a variety channel where I just basically upload stuff so I can have fun and hang out with people on the internet. Okay, thanks for watching. Take care. Be well. Thanks for joining me. Today we are taking a look at The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom for the Switch 2. We will compare some gameplay video so we can see the differences between the Switch 2 and the Switch version. The Switch 2 has a free update that allows the game to run with some enhancements on the Switch 2 hardware. The Switch version also received an update, and that does actually bring in some improvements. Here up close you can see the Switch 2 runs at a higher resolution. Here we are taking a look at video from the game running on the Switch. And something that is noticeable is the blurry depth of field effect that you see at the top and bottom of the screen. It's a blurriness that sort of makes it look like the background is fading away. But on the original Switch version, you can see that it is quite more prominent. It's much more noticeable. You can tell that the game is running at a lower resolution, particularly when we zoom in here, like so. You can see the shadows in the environments are also at a somewhat lower resolution. Visually, the games are quite consistent, but the Switch 2 version is a bit more vibrant. As you can see the colors here, there's brighter brights, darker darks. The colors are a bit more punchy and saturated. Now, one of the major improvements we see in the version for the original Switch is the stuttering as the game loads in assets from different areas. That has been improved significantly. Early on in the Switch version, as the player traversed areas, the game would have to load in assets in terms of graphics, enemies, sound effects, special effects. They would have to be loaded in to memory. and the game would stutter, there would be hiccuping, and it was a bit unpleasant. It resulted in inconsistent frame rates. But with the latest update, even on the original Switch hardware, that has been significantly reduced. So it is still present, the game does hiccup a bit while the player traverses, but it is significantly better than it was before. So there's even improvements running on the original Switch hardware. You can see zoomed in that the pixels are quite a bit more noticeable, but it's not a significant issue. It doesn't really negatively impact gameplay. It's not really all that noticeable unless you are playing on a large display. A very large television will make it apparent that the Switch 2 version does look quite a bit nicer due to the higher resolution. The pixels are less obvious, shadows look a bit better. The difference in color is not really noticeable unless you put the games side by side. Primarily, it is the resolution and the frame rate. While the original Switch version has improved and is better, it's still not perfect, and the Switch 2 stays even and consistent. Even zoomed in, the game visuals are quite smooth and pleasant to look at. There is still a little bit of uneven, what they would refer to as frame pacing. One of the improvements they added we will discuss later in the video, particularly in close environments like this. You can see the difference in the pixel density, and while it's not a big issue, it's noticeable on a large display. Let's see the two running side by side together. The Switch 2 version loads just a little bit faster. Not by much, but it does help a little. Let's go ahead and take a look at just some video captured from the Switch 2. One of the features allows the player to assign favorites to their echoes. This makes it so the player does not need to navigate through the 127 echoes or so. They can assign a favorites list after they have learned more than 30 echoes. This allows the player to keep track of the echoes they want to use the most. Now, this footage I wanted to share with you to have a laugh. This was the first time I've turned the game on in months. I actually haven't finished this game. I started a save file, and I was so busy with work I didn't get to finish playing the game. And this footage that you see here that looks uncoordinated and clumsy is me trying to figure out what the controls were for the game. Over the past few months of not playing the game, I had entirely forgotten the control scheme for this and was unable to maneuver my character in a satisfactory way. I just thought it was funny to share that. Here side by side you can see a noticeable difference. My capture card may not be able to express the difference in the frame rates. As I switch to it is noticeable, the frame rate is much smoother, but the pixel density here, you can see the visuals are just nice, crisp, and smooth. The blades of grass don't have that harsh pixelation on them. Everything has a more naturalistic and organic look to it because of the increased pixel density. While pixel density isn't necessarily a big deal when it comes to 2D games, especially 2D games really match a particular type of aesthetic where low density is not an issue. When it comes to 3D games, low density pixel count can have a negative effect depending on the aesthetic. This is a situation where the game is overall improved when we can see higher pixel density. I am so delighted to see the game running flawlessly on Switch 2. So I will try to continue playing through this game when I can find moments to take a break from my workday. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at this game with me. And if you would like to see some other analysis videos, I will put them on screen. Be well, take care of yourselves, work hard, and no matter what anyone says, believe in yourself. No matter how anyone tries to put you down, stay positive, stay strong, focus on the things that you want to achieve. Go for it. I believe in you. Do well.